Good morning. Welcome to Red Barn Acres. Now, my name is Steven if you don't know. This is an electric fence. It's electric netting, solar powered. There's a coop that's movable. I hook the mower to it and move it. But as you can see, this field, this fence is empty. There's no chickens in here. Yesterday was chicken processing day for our meat birds. Now, I'd like to talk a bit before the video begins. So if anybody has any problem with processing meat, processing animals, seeing death, things like that, probably just don't want to watch this video. But I want to remind you that these animals have been grown in this environment where they've got shade, fresh grass, bugs to eat, sunshine, free air. Unfortunately, the occasional pest has gotten one of them, like a fox or a raccoon, but they are able to fly. They get the best life they can before it's time to process them. Unlike meat birds that are grown for grocery stores or in houses, never get to see grass, are grown in tight, constrained areas, and we try to do better by our birds. So, if you want to watch the rest of the video to see how we process them, we would appreciate it. Also, like and subscribe and click that bell for notifications for our channel. You'll see more about what we do out here.
Today, we're going to butcher Buff Orpington roosters, except this one. This one is nice to me and we're going to use him for breeding stock. These are about 17-18 weeks old and just ready to put in the freezer. So what I plan to do is to take you through each step of the process. Now, this is our first time doing this, so if we make a mistake, please point it out in the comments. So right now, I'll take you over and show you our setup. We've got the water heating up. So we're going to come over here and pick these one at a time, catch them, take them over, and begin the process. Before we begin, I'll show you the different stages that we've got set up. This is a cone to put the chicken in. This is to catch blood. And this is a propane burner set up to get the water up to 140 degrees for scalding the feathers. Next, we have a chicken plucking machine. Put the chicken in here along with water and turn the machine on. And all the feathers come out here into a bucket with holes in it to drain the water out and catch all the feathers. You should have a naked chicken when you're done. This is my chicken processing machine. I've got a 1-horse motor driving a 2-inch pulley that's driving a 14-inch pulley. It's got pillar block bearings on a 3/4 inch shaft going into the bottom of a tub. This is a food grade barrel, a splash guard over my motor, a drain out one side, got a aluminum plate with a reinforced steel plate under it. On the shaft, I've got a removable bushing where we can take the plate off, put it back on. I've got a couple fingers on the side, 1, 2. It helps wash out the feathers in the water as it spins. I'm going to turn it on now. Runs on 110, 120. chicken. Scald him at 140, 145 degrees. Toss him in here and turn the machine on and hit it with water. And the water and feathers will wash out this side into this chute, into a bucket, and come out featherless chicken. Then we'll come over here to a cutting table for me to process the internals, finish dressing the chicken, and get it ready to pack in the freezer. So this is one of our meat chickens. Now what I'm doing here, I'm holding him sideways with his legs out. He's very calm, very docile this way. When you catch them, you hold them sideways like this and cradle them, and they'll calm right down, not want to fight, not want to fuss, anything like that. Now, some people say, why do you want to kill your own chickens? Well, what we do, we raise these from chicks, and we're going to start hatching out our own soon. But these chickens are free to roam around the yard in a fenced-in area. We've got a 160-foot electric netting to protect them from animals, and they're allowed to run in the grass and eat bugs and play and dig and eat a natural diet along with good natural food. And then later, obviously, we're going to butcher them. These chickens live a free-range life and are a lot more humanely kept than the ones you would buy in a store. So, there. So basically what we're going to do now is take him by his legs and take his head and neck and put him down in this cone head first. And it holds them nice and tight. They don't flop around. What we'll do now is I've got this knife really sharp, and we'll take and slice the jugular vein right here above this red, and that's where they'll bleed out. Now the reason why we don't cut the whole head off is because we want them to breathe and naturally aspirate and naturally push the blood out of the body to keep the meat from being bloody. So we'll just let this set for a minute. You may be wondering, when is the chicken actually dead? How long do I have to wait? There's no response. He's done a little bit of kicking and then calmed down. His legs will go limp like this. As long as there's tension, muscle movement, anything like that, just wait it out. Okay, so after we've cut the jugular vein, he's basically bled out and become limp. No more kicking or you know, nerves reacting or anything like that. He's ready to go in the hot water. He's already passed. That's what we're going to do. Take him back out. Big bird. Alright. So we don't have one of those machines that tumbles the chicken in the water, but we do want to make sure that we get it down in there good enough to where the feathers on the feet get submerged. I want to make sure the whole bird is underwater. Has a chance to turn. And how long are we going to go for?
45 seconds. 140 to 145 degrees.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright, so we've had him in here long enough, you think? Let's see if the feather's coming loose. Seem to be coming loose. We're going to put him in the chicken plucking machine now. See how well our scalding did. Kind of got stuck. I think a foot got stuck in the side. Okay. I'm going to take you through the butchering process now. I just got it out of the tumbler, the feather plucker. Picked any loose feathers off, washed it. Now I'm going to finish cutting this chicken up and get it ready to bag. Alright, so the jugular vein, we've made one slice right here to bleed it out. So you want to go right in under the skull here and cut real easy. So you no problem just cutting the head right off. The next thing I do is turn it over on its back, take some skin right here and cut that skin out. Cut me an opening and get the windpipe. I'm going to pull the windpipe out of the neck. Leave that hanging. Now you can take the feet, bend them, and there's a, in the direction that they bend, there's like a knee, it's a reverse knee. You can take a knife, it feels really stiff, but you can cut right here and it just comes right apart. Right between the joint. There's your foot. The next piece, I want to take it, got a couple little feathers right here that I didn't see. They're easy to come out, no big deal. I'm going to take the chicken and pull this skin up tight and cut right close to the vent. Then instead of cutting this all the way open, to preserve meat, to preserve fat, preserve skin, you want to pull this open with your fingers. Now we want to cut on both sides of the vent. Hope I don't mess this up. I'm cutting with the knife backwards. Cut around the vent. I'm trying to do this for camera. It's a whole lot easier. There it is. Cut that loose. And then we want to remove an oil gland that's on the top of the tail. So we cut right here. Hold the skin cut right along the top of the tailbone under that oil gland and remove that. Alright. Now the windpipe, we're going to pull that through the cavity. Now on some of these bigger meat chickens like a Cornish cross, you get your whole hand up in there. These are really smaller cavities. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but I get my fingers in above the gizzard. This is the gizzard. It's a really tough part that helps them digest their food, and you pull that loose and then everything else tends to come loose with it. Now you'll notice that the fat on these chickens is yellow. A lot of the meat chickens that you buy at the store, their fat is white. Alright, so we're going to get right in here in front of these guts. Pull these entire gut mass out. Windpipe included. I'm going to take the liver. We got the gallbladder right here. We don't want to cut that. Some people separate this with their fingers. I'm going to separate it with a knife. Let's cut this liver off. Enough without damaging the gallbladder. You do not want that stuff on your chicken. You might as well throw it away. A few more little guts in here. I'm going to get the lungs. Actually, that was the trachea or the esophagus. Here's the windpipe. There it goes. The lungs are left in here. What I like to do is get my thumb or finger in from the rear, go under the lungs, get a good grip on it, and pull it out. There's your lung. That's one lung. Separate it from the ribs by going under it, and then grab the whole thing and pull it out. Alright, that's that. This next part, I'm not really good at it, but we'll get it. I'm cutting that neck off right about here. The vertebrae are linked together in a strange way. You can use a meat cleaver if you want. It's a bit more efficient. Alright, so we got the neck. That yellow fat gets me. We got the neck, feet, liver, the chicken. Alright, one more thing. Turn the chicken around, take this little flap of skin here, and cut a hole in it. Alright, what we're going to do, we want to bend the legs, and push the legs through that. It holds the chicken in a nice tight little ball. Alright, there we're done. Now we'll put that in the freezer or put it on ice for a while to let it go through complete rigor mortis and loosen the meat up before we freeze it. So now that we're completely done, let's see what we yielded. Now these are chicken necks. .13 or 2 pounds 13 ounces. Livers 10 ounces, and feet pounds 13 ounces. So the same weight with the feet as we had with the necks. I'm not going to weigh these chickens right now. We'll weigh them later. But we've got an ice chest full of chickens. We're going to keep on ice tonight. I'm not going to freeze these. We're going to weigh today before we freeze them. I think that helps the meat. So our chickens have been on ice overnight. I'm going to weigh a few of them, like 3 or 4, and see how much they weigh. So we've got one that weighs just a little over 3 pounds. Another weighs 2 pounds 6 ounces. Another weighs 3 pounds 8 ounces. Another one weighs 3 pounds 4 ounces. Now you may ask, why do these chickens not weigh 8 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever? It's because they're not Cornish cross. The Cornish cross breed is a secret mix of genetics that they breed specifically for the U.S. meat market. Now this is what a normal chicken will look like. It'll weigh 3 pounds-ish, 3.5, 2.5 pounds. But the Cornish cross are it's like a zombie chicken. Those things get really big in 7 weeks, 10 weeks, they're ready to butcher, and they have leg problems, a lot of health issues related to fast growth. The Cornish cross is made to kill at an early age and specifically for high producing meat. But basically, those chickens don't even like to walk around. They just sit around the feed and just eat, feed, and sleep, eat and sleep, eat and sleep, and just pack on as much weight as they can. But these birds are raised naturally in a field, and they can roam and play and have a good time, and this is basically the result. So what I'm going to do now is freeze these chickens a few at a time, and then vacuum seal them, and then put them back in the freezer. If you try to vacuum seal them while they're wet, the bag won't seal properly. This chicken has been sitting in the freezer for just a few minutes to take the moisture off so we can vacuum seal it. But these have been refrigerated overnight. So now that's in a bag. I'm going to vacuum seal this. Can't do it and film at the same time. So now we have a nice vacuum sealed chicken ready to freeze. You either have to dry the meat off thoroughly before you vacuum seal it, or put it in the freezer for a few minutes to have the moisture frozen so that it does not mess with your sealing. If you put water in here, as soon as you start pulling the vacuum, that moisture goes out and won't let this seal properly. So what we're going to do is an experiment. We're going to leave these chickens on ice, rotate these through the water and ice now for probably another day. We've got 3 that after spending overnight on the ice, we've gone ahead and flash frozen, vacuum sealed, and put in the freezer. So we're going to mark those, and we're going to test the tenderness of those versus these that we're going to let sit in ice or whatever for a day. Now this one in the fridge, we're going to go ahead and put it on the grill probably this evening. So we're going to see how it is from butchering at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to cooking 24 to 26 hours later, and see how it is. Yeah, the machine broke the legs on this one, so we have to make some modifications to the process, of course.
Well, now you've seen the entire process. And what I like to do now is go over the process again in my head and think about what we can do better next time, what we can improve on, changes that we can make to the the chicken plucking machine, and the overall process. So I'll take you through that now.
Now this was a last minute choice to use a cut in half 55-gallon drum. This was an oil barrel, so I had to get out soap and clean the oil out and have it ready at short notice. The aluminum pot that I had wasn't big enough, so I'm going to go buy one probably for crawfish, one of those really big ones that you can boil like 40 pounds of crawfish in, so I can use it for crawfish and for scalding. So that's going to be one change to the process. Another thing I'm going to do is order about 50 more of these little fingers and double up the finger placement. I'm going to put a lot more fingers on the sides. Another change we're going to do is this aluminum plate was not wide enough, and the chicken's legs and sometimes heads would get caught in here and slow the machine down. So we're going to make this at a minimum a ½ inch longer radius on this circle to get it really close to the plastic. Not so close that the feathers won't fall, but we definitely don't want the feet getting caught in here in the head. So that's a change we're going to make. We can reuse these fingers on the next plate. I'm going to waterproof this switch just for safety. Putting some tape over the top worked to keep all the water out. Didn't have any electrical issues. Another change I'm going to do is to add some wheels to this base so it's easier to move. Other than that, the overall design worked really well. I bought this new regulator and hose because the other regulator went out, but what I did not account on was a valve needed to be here so I can adjust the flow rate for the burner. It was either on or off. This valve before the regulator basically just turned the gas on or turned it off, and this maintained a steady rate. So I'm going to need to add a valve here to adjust the flame.
Another thing I'm going to do is train another person to help me. This was a major task, doing it by myself, having to go catch the chickens, bringing them over, doing all the processing alone. My wife is just not the kind of person to do that, so probably going to need another person who's not scared of blood or scared of getting dirty. So that's maybe the last change in the process. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's not, a feel-good video. It's a tutorial, lessons, how to do things on the farm, how to work at self-sustainability, and maybe the lessons we've learned through this process will be a big help to someone else when they first start out. So, thanks for watching.